You're listening to the So Good It Doesn't Make Sense podcast, a podcast for women navigating divorce who want more. More clarity, more money, more peace, more power. I'm Megan Norris, divorce expert, coach, and the friend who's going to tell you the truth. Not just about what's happening right now, but about what's possible for you next. This podcast is about making decisions you trust, building a life you actually want, and becoming the version of you that no one saw coming. Whether you're in it, ending it, or already out, you're in the right place. You're about to become the CEO of your life and create one so good it doesn't make sense. Let's get started. Oh, hi. Welcome back to the podcast. So glad you're here. How are we doing this week? Checking in. Shall we take a deep breath together in through the nose for 4 and out through the mouth. Don't forget to breathe. Take deep breaths. I remember the shallow breathing season and how much it would help to take a deep breath. So let's jump in. What are we going to talk about today? We are going to talk about rushing, urgency. Let's see if I can fix this. Okay. And how you get to give yourself permission to go at your own pace and how important that is. Other people are going to want you to move at a pace that would solve their emotional discomfort around your divorce. Your kids, your ex, your family, your friends. And I'm not just talking about your divorce, but maybe with your parenting, maybe with your dating, maybe with your career and your money or making financial decisions, making money. You can slow down. Just slow down. Slow is smooth and smooth is fast. I forget which branch of the military says that, but it's a thing and it's accurate. You will speed things up when you are willing to slow down. Because when you slow down, you make more intentional, more aligned decisions. So let's kind of unpack this for a little bit. Why do we get into urgency? Like, why are we in a hurry to create an outcome or get through something or to rush a result? The answer is always to fix a feeling, to change how we feel. We think we're going to feel differently when we create the result and it's going to feel better. So we want to hurry up and get there. You're probably going to hear me talk about this in many different contexts throughout the episodes. But here in this context, it's really important to me that you decide that you are not going to gatekeep certain emotional experiences from yourself until you have earned them, deserve them, or are given permission to feel them by the creation of a certain result or by the passing of a certain milestone. So, for example, you might be worried about your kids and you might wonder, am I doing a good job at parenting them through this process? And you're maybe looking for evidence for that and feeling a little hypervigilant around it and watching their every move. Who else has done this, right? Oh, they've done this. This goes in the column of good. Uh-oh, they did this, or they're feeling this way. Uh-oh, that means that's a column, that's a check in the column of not good, not working out, should be worried, right? And we live in this check mark, black and white thinking, looking for evidence outside of us to give us permission to feel a certain way. And we get in a hurry, let's stay with the example of kids, for our kids to be okay, to feel differently, to move through their grief or their fear or their discomfort around the divorce process. We get in a hurry for them to be okay because we want the relief. We want the emotional relief. Oh, okay, I can relax now because they're going to be okay. But ironically, and this is true no matter what the circumstance, the thing outside of you will change faster and with less effort on your behalf when you go first. So if you want your kids to be okay, you got to go first. I think we may have talked about that on a podcast already. The reason you get in a hurry for them to be okay is so that you can feel the emotional relief from whatever you're feeling. So let's use the legal process for another example. If you are trying to negotiate a settlement agreement and you keep not being able to do that, it keeps failing, you haven't come to an agreement, you might feel angry or impatient or frustrated. And you might feel this urgency. It's a very uncomfortable agitation. I bet you know what I'm talking about, where you're just like, I want this to move so fast. I want it to go now. And it's not. And it's the agitation. It's like being caught between a rock and a hard place. It's friction, this friction between your need and desire to control so that you feel okay and you can know things are going to be okay and you can move through this, is pretty consistently challenged through the divorce process and beyond, because you just can't rush things. And you actually, I don't know if you slow them down, but your perception of them is going to be that they move slower when you are in a hurry and feeling rushed and urgent to create a certain result. Now, the alternative is to let yourself feel frustrated or impatient that something isn't working or happening as fast as you want it to happen, or anxious, or whatever that emotion is. But also understand that that emotion is coming from your brain trying to create certainty where it perceives there is none, and it's worried things aren't going to work out. But you don't have to gatekeep the emotional experience of things working out, of things being okay, of knowing you're a good mom. You don't have to gatekeep that experience from yourself until your circumstances give you permission to feel it. This is just a different way of saying what I've been saying all along. You get to believe that no matter what happens, everything is always working out for you. And if you really believed that, you wouldn't be in such a hurry for those things to change, because you would know that it's inevitable and it's coming no matter what. We get in a hurry because we're afraid that it's not going to be okay. And we don't want to emotionally bypass your experience of that. We don't want to say, oh, I just shouldn't feel this way. I should just be happy and in belief all the time and positive all the time. No, this is much more about you taking responsibility for your authentic emotional experience and understanding that you have a lot of agency in terms of how you think about it. Sometimes we choose a negative emotion. There are things that I choose to feel sad about because it's a reflection of who I am. Your grief is a reflection of who you are. Even your sacred rage and anger is a reflection of who you are. Those emotions don't belong to the things outside of you. They don't belong to a circumstance, to a bank account, to a person. They belong to you. So if you're feeling urgent and you want so badly to move this forward and it's not happening the way or as quickly as you want it to, you're allowed to feel that agitation. And once you allow that emotion to be felt and processed, almost always on the other side of it, you are going to have an opportunity to change, to choose with intention how you think and feel about a circumstance. And you might choose the agitation, but at least it will have been intentional instead of feeling like you're at the mercy of it. Another piece of this is that, generally speaking, not even generally, I would say across the board, the women that are attracted to my work, my clients, we are action takers. We're incredibly decisive. We have a very strong sense of I hesitate to use the word right, but we have a very strong sense of how things are going to go. And we just want to get it done. We're incredibly efficient. We're very good tasks managers, and we can see clearly the steps that need to happen between where we are right now and where we want to go, especially if we're talking the legal divorce. Emotional divorce gets a little trickier. We get a little more muddled around that. But generally speaking, if we're talking about creating a specific result, even if it's like supporting our kids and helping our kids thrive through this process or process their own negative emotions around it, we have a very strong sense of what that could look like and how easy it would be to resolve if we could just get everybody on board with our plan. And maybe up until this very moment, you've always been able to do that. Generally speaking, you can, sometimes at your own expense, make the plan, execute the plan, and put it all on your shoulders and create a result. And now all of a sudden you're in this group project and you can't seem to garner that same kind of momentum. And it's not just pure urgency and this desire to rush something. It's also unsettling and a little destabilizing because you may not have ever been in a set of circumstances quite like this, where you simply don't have control over so many things. And a lot of those things are things you used to have control over. So we want to have a lot of grace and compassion for your nervous system, for your brain, for you as a human as you start to unpack the impatience. And remember, even if you process it, you might still choose to feel impatient and frustrated and mad about something, but you're going to feel like you have more control over it and can direct that energy into something useful for you rather than just feeling reactive and like you're living at the mercy of your circumstances or even your emotions. So that's one piece of this. The other piece of this is that I want to open you up to the possibility that slower is better. Slower might be better in almost all of these circumstances because it is giving you in particular, but everybody involved, a chance to recalibrate and to adjust to this new reality over time. If you woke up one day and your reality changed very suddenly, you know how disconcerting that is. If it's been more of a gradual change and you feel like, I just want to rush this, can we please be done with this? I want you to try on the possibility that it's a good thing that it's taking so long. And if your reality changed overnight and there was a shock and it was very destabilizing and it was frustrating and like almost emotionally traumatizing, and you have no control over now how long it's taking or the process, that it's okay that it's happening and that it feels that way and that all of it is trying to help you. If everything is happening, I'm not going to say for you because that sounds a little gaslighty. If everything that's happening can be used by you to create a life so good it doesn't make sense, and it's possible that the way it's unfolding is actually the most supportive way for you. Like if this has to happen, the best thing that could happen is for it to happen this way. If that's possible, how could that be true? Because here's the truth that I have seen after working with hundreds of clients, having my own experience. You can have a 6-month legal divorce. The emotional divorce is not done then. It's still going to take possibly years for that to come full circle or to be completed. So everyone thinks they want a fast divorce legally, thinking that's going to make them feel a certain way, only to get there and realize, oh, that had nothing to do with this. I see that over and over and over again. We think the circumstance is going to, changing it is going to make us feel better, and then it doesn't. We have to do that emotional work internally. So if your legal process is taking a long time, or it's taking your kids a long time to show signs of being okay, or they're really struggling or really angry, maybe that time period is actually a sacred space for you to unearth the emotional resilience you're going to need to navigate the next chapter. If that's possible, maybe we can resist the unfolding of it a little bit faster. Now, other people are also going to be in a hurry for you. I got a lot of input, especially from my family, about things I should be doing with the kids and things that we should already be putting back on the table after my divorce. And I was so clear that the answer was no to that. No. Why do we need to be in a hurry about this? They are humans and they need time. They need time to process, to mature, to understand that they're safe, to get their feet on the ground with the new reality that they were living in. My kids went from, married parents in the only home any of them ever remembered having, to divorced parents, to moving cities away from their grandparents, to going from homeschooling to a 1,000+ kid public school in a rental house in the span of 18 months. And everyone was like, better get them into the extracurriculars extra fast. And I'm like, better not. We all just need a minute here. We just need a minute. Why is everyone in a hurry? Same thing with my health journey and my weight loss journey after divorce. I just wasn't in a hurry. I knew the season would come and the time would come where that could be my top priority, and I would be able to have the capacity to show up for that no matter what else was going on in my life. But I didn't know when that was going to happen. It didn't mean I didn't try. I repeatedly, over and over again, I would say, okay, let's go again. And then I would show up for a few weeks of working out and trying to eat the protein. Eat the protein. And then I would get sick. And it would take me weeks to recover and to feel like I could muster the energy and have the capacity to try again. I repeated that cycle, if you will. Like, I walked that path. I don't like calling it a cycle because I don't think we ever go back. We don't go back to the beginning. We're always moving forward. But it can feel like Groundhog Day, right? But every time that would happen, I could drop the rope around that and say, you know what? It's okay. It wasn't this time, but maybe next time, and I'll go again. And in the meantime, I'm going to do the best I can to maintain the status quo. But the priority right now is my business. And then it was getting us moved. And then it was stabilizing the kids. And then it was my business again. And then it was moving and buying a house. And then it was the custody dispute. And then it was my landlord dispute. And just now, finally, I feel like 3.5 years later, I can get my head and energy around now. Now I'm like locking all of that health stuff in. But I promise, if I'd been in a hurry and frustrated and mad and judging myself along the way, it wouldn't have sped it up. It just would have been more miserable. So you have permission to slow down. I didn't put my kids in any extracurricular activities until one of them suggested that they wanted to join one. And then I facilitated that. The other radical thing I did was when we initially separated and started the divorce process, my kids were in a charter school in my old town. But it was like right on the tail end of COVID. So there had been like virtual schooling, some homeschooling, and they hadn't been in school full time for a while. And before that, they'd been homeschooled. And so that was the year, the fall of 2021, when everyone was like, okay, we're back in school. And I full time for the whole year, and I put them back in school. And I just remember knowing, oh no, this is not good. Nobody can understand unless they've lived it what is happening inside our family right now. And these kids are stressed to the max. And me commuting this 20 minutes each way to get them to school every day, and with the packing of the lunches, this is bad. This is not good for us. And I pulled them out, and I had to go to the administrator, and I remember he would I mean, he was asking nicely, but he was strongly requesting that I leave them in school. They didn't want to lose them. They're good kids. I get that. They were being very kind. They were trying to accommodate me. He was telling me they would accommodate me, but I knew some of those teachers out there and they were not going to accommodate, especially the middle schooler. And I just knew instinctively that we needed emotional space to process this and to be as calm and nurtured and cozied up as possible during that season. So I pulled them out of school, and they did some homeschooling for that semester. Well, no, for the rest of that year, because it was final in the January 2022, and then we moved in the fall of 2022. So they started in public school in the winter of 2023. That's a lot of math, whatever. My point is that everyone was in a hurry for them to just be normal, to be back to normal. And I just kept slowing it down, giving them space, letting them be upset. I would sit with them until midnight while they cried themselves to sleep, even though I was like barely pouring myself into bed every night. I knew that is what we all needed. Sometimes slowing things down for you is going to be inconvenient or uncomfortable for other people because they just want to help you make it okay. And they mean well. They are well-intentioned. But you know, and you can trust what is best for you and your kids and your family. And you are safe to listen to that right now and to take your time. I promise that everything will settle down. It will start to feel like a normal routine again. You will wake up one day in the future and think, oh my gosh, this is it. This is the day that I dreamt of, and she's right. It is so good, it doesn't make sense. I shouldn't be this happy. This shouldn't be this easy. This amount of joy that's available to me, but also my safety and capacity to feel triggered and in pain without making it mean that the world is ending is also so good it doesn't make sense. And I feel unstoppable in my life now. That day is coming. It is guaranteed. It is inevitable. And you will get there with less suffering and more personal growth and insights into who you are and what you want if you will just let yourself slow down. We don't need to be in a hurry. Your kids are going to process their emotions. You're going to hold space for them. You're going to get the support that you need, and everything is going to work itself out. And you don't have to wait for that moment before you believe that's true. And give yourself the gift of feeling that way ahead of time and not gatekeeping that emotional experience from yourself, needing to rush towards it because you don't think you're allowed to feel it until you get there. You can do that for yourself now. Your beliefs, your thoughts, the sentences in your head can create emotion for you. And a powerful tool, a powerful way to do that when it seems like everything in your current reality is literally crumbling, is to believe that it's all crumbling for you so that something even better, more beautiful, and more meaningful can come in. And that's not a delusion. It is an inevitability. I have seen it over and over and over and over again without fail. Without fail. It comes. That moment comes. Sometimes it's 5 years for a client. Sometimes it's 3 years. Sometimes it's 6 months. We don't know when. It doesn't matter. Just the knowing that it's coming can change your perception of what's going on in the current moment and this urgency you feel to rush through it, and help you relax into it a little bit so that you can be more present, make more intentional decisions, have more agency, not be so reactive and create conflict where there doesn't need to be any, and to really tap into that self-trust that you've got you are your own guarantee, and it is going to be okay. I feel like I was going to say one more thing about this. Wait, hang on. It left me, what was it? Don't gatekeep that experience for yourself. Oh, the delusional part. It might feel delusional to believe this now. And I want you to just feel delusional. Just because something feels delusional doesn't mean it is. And just because something feels panicky doesn't mean there's a reason to panic. Emotions are just sensations in your body. They don't predict the future. Your emotions are not a crystal ball. They are a reflection of programming, past experience, survival mechanism. That's it. Until you choose intentionally, and then they become the currency. They become the investment you make in a life so good it doesn't make sense. There's more to unpack that, but we'll do that on another episode. For now, anywhere you're feeling urgent, I want you to just drop it. You can't rush the timeline anyway. I do believe, however, that when you do this work, your perception of how things unfold can get accelerated. Otherwise, it just doesn't make sense. How could a person get divorced in 6 months, make 6 figures from zero in her first 12 months after that, and then make $1 million in the next 3 years, buy a house, even though she had a lease, get out of the lease, have 3 kids that are thriving, be in a custody dispute? None of this makes sense. Statistically, I'm an anomaly. My clients are an anomaly, because most people are operating from the belief that it has to, quote, make sense, and it has to be hard, and it has to be, divorce has to mean that you are set back and that you're behind and that's going to be harder. And I refuse to believe that. I refuse to accept that answer for myself, for my kids, and for you. You deserve better. You are worthy of more. That is a garbage belief that we have adopted as a culture, and I reject it, and I choose differently. And because I was willing to choose differently before there was a ton of evidence that that was going to be available to me, it changed my reality fast. What you want is inevitable, but you will have the experience of it coming to you with less suffering and less effort if you will trust me when I say drop the urgency and stop being in a hurry. It doesn't mean you don't feel impatient. It doesn't mean that you don't get angry sometimes. It only means that you stop resisting it. You're allowing yourself to feel impatient instead of hating it and trying to find a way and trying to problem solve in your head and overthink and underfeel. Just, you can stop all of that. It's not helping you. In fact, it's probably slowing you down. Okay, that's all I have for you this week. Listen, if you want to do this work with me and get in-person coaching, the membership is available. If you want the inside scoop on what's happening in my life and a deeper dive on some of these topics with very specific examples from my clients, from me, then you want to be a subscriber. And that It's a subscriber only podcast feed, and it is in the link in the link is in the show notes. And then if you're not following me on Instagram, you absolutely need to be. And that link is also, it's all in the show notes, guys. It's all in the show notes. If this episode was helpful for you, please leave a review. It really helps me get this work into the hands of more women, because one day we're going to wake up and someone's going to have done an analysis and created new divorce statistics, and we're going to flip it on its head. And you can be an integral part of that just by leaving a review for me. All right, I will see you next week. Take care, and don't forget to breathe. Thanks for listening to the So Good It Doesn't Make Sense podcast. If today's episode resonated, please take a minute and leave a review. It helps women find this work and change their lives and divorces too. For more support, be sure you follow me on Instagram at Megan Norris Coaching. That's where I share real-time strategy, perspective, and what it actually looks like day to day. And when you're ready to go deeper, join the Divorce Academy, my monthly membership for women navigating divorce with clarity, power, and community. I'll see you next week. This podcast is for informational purposes only and is not a substitute for legal, financial, or mental health advice. Please consult with licensed professionals as needed.